Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Thursday edition of The Shed. Hashtag Irish Bulls Mafia. We, Trevor. You're very welcome along to the show. Tonight we're going to preview Game Week 4 in the NFL, this upcoming set of games. It's the last week. There'll be 16 games until near the end of the season because every team will start having buys then after that. So it'll be an interesting pick. Um, it was very hard to pick the games last week. The competition is going well, but the scores were very, hit and miss with some of the results. Very surprising, a lot of them that happened. But hopefully, we'll try again this week and see can we improve. So, without further ado, because it's a cool night here, we're going to start with the Thursday night game. So tonight's game is the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. Now, the New York Giants had a surprising win over the Cleveland Browns last weekend, where Daniel Jones looked better and Malik Neighbors is on fire. And to be fair, this is a very, very hard game to call. Now, the Cowboys went to the Giants last year in game week 1 and won 40 points to 0. And the way they started the season at the Browns, as it happened as well, they look like that's going to be their way again this year. But they've lost the last two games and they've lost them very badly. Now, I know there's only 3 points between themselves and the Ravens on last weekend, but there was more than 3 points on the field because they had to mount a huge comeback and the Ravens just took the foot off the gas. So it's a huge game for Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a huge game for Brian Dable and the New York Giants. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, they're all going to have to stand up and a lot more to get the Cowboys through this because if they lose this tonight, there could be I would say, would be season over, but you'll be heading that way at this early stage. Whereas the Giants, they don't have the same expectations as the Cowboys. Maybe they do in New York, but in the wider terms, their team is rebuilding. And for Dable himself, he just needs to have a good season, push for the playoffs, and if they get there, good and well. How do I see tonight's game going? I've two and fro. I can see New York winning it, and I can see Dallas winning it. But tonight, I'm going to choose the Dallas Cowboys as my first pick this weekend. Then we go to Sunday's games. Now, there's no easy pickings in this either. I have had head scratched a few times on different games, and the next one is one of them. Is the New Orleans Saints, who are 2-1 at the minute. Kind of gave away the game last weekend against the Eagles, and they're playing the Atlanta Falcons, who are 1-2. Now, the 1-2 is very unlucky. They were well bet against the Steelers and deservedly lost that game. The Cousins looked awful. Their attack on paper is frightening, but it looked awful. And fair play to the Steelers. Their defense absolutely rampaged the offensive line and Kirk Cousins that day. But they did go and beat the Eagles in Philadelphia in week 2, and deservedly so. And Kirk Cousins and co looked a lot better. And then last weekend against the Chiefs, and a refereeing decision that was very rough against them. Wasn't given to them, in fact, when Kyle Pitts was in the end zone and a ball thrown to him and he was tackled when the ball was yards away. So, you know, we don't know if they'd have won the game or not after that, but they would have been closer to winning it. So for the Falcons, this is a huge game. This is a divisional game. Um, I think the Saints can afford to lose it if there's a team that can, because they're already ahead in games. I don't think the Falcons can. I think Kirk Cousins needs to start showing some of that 180 million that they've paid him or going to pay him over the next 4 years. He has Bijan Robinson, running back, who's I think an awesome player. That's I think not used enough by them, and they have an awful lot of offensive players as well. That wide receivers, tight ends that can hit. Where the Saints are coming off a loss, and it was a bad loss, and they'll be looking to rebound. It's a very hard game to call. I can see both teams winning it, but I have to pick one. So I'm going with Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons this weekend. Now, my third game is another one that's going to be a very hard call. It wouldn't have been 2 weeks ago, but it is now. Is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Carolina Panthers. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I don't know, they're really in bad shape. But they didn't play awful bad offensively against Commanders last weekend. He had no picks. He threw for 3 touchdowns and over 300 yards. And, you know, as I see people criticizing him, but like he did nothing wrong. They went to the stage where people are criticizing him because they only got a field goal when they knew the other team was going to score a touchdown because he knew he couldn't trust the defense. Now that's a load of BS. People want to say things, so let them. The Carolina Panthers were awful under Bryce Young as quarterback. They've taken him out. They put in Andy Dalton, who's a former Bengal, and brought the Bengals to the playoffs in previous seasons. And he seems, in last week anyway, to have turned them around. Now, the Bengals cannot go 0-4. And if they go 0-4, their season is over because they ain't catching anyone in that group. The Panthers are 1-2, 1-3. They're still going to be near the bottom of the feeding order anyway when it comes to the end of the season, just the way their team is and what they need. And because Joe Burrow did not play bad this last weekend, and his offense, Jamar Chase played well too, I think their defense will have to improve this weekend, and only because of that. And it was a toss of a coin, but I am going for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. The next game is the Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. Now, the Rams pulled off one of the biggest shocks last weekend with all their injuries and missing players. They beat the San Francisco 49ers, albeit 49ers were missing three huge names too. Um, the Chicago Bears, well, I have Caleb Williams down in my preseason as Offensive Rookie of the Year. This guy don't even look close. He looks like Bryce Young from last year. They have all the weapons. Now, I don't know whether they're using Caleb to his full potential or if they're holding him back or playing plays differently. I don't know, but they're not clicking. And they've looked pretty ordinary so far. Now, again, this game can go either way. I'm going to say that a lot because the way the season is, there's a lot of games that can go either way. I just think Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay, after last weekend's great win against the 49ers, need to push on. The Bears are rebuilding and they're going to take a year or two to catch up. And for that reason, I'm going for the Los Angeles Rams. Now we come to a huge divisional game. It's the Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. This is a game that is one of the games of the weekend, to be honest. So Sam Darnold has played 3 games so far. He's won 3. He's been awesome in 3. He's going into Lambeau Field this weekend. Who is he going to be playing against as a quarterback? Is it Malik Willis or is it Jordan Love? The stories are that Jordan Love will play. I'm not sure. I think Malik Willis has done nothing wrong so far in his 2 games. He's won both games deservedly so. They don't look like they've missed a beat. If you were to rest Jordan Love for another week and he'd be fitter and more recovered from his injury, then by all means do that. But it's a divisional game, and this game will have a big bearing on the end of the season. Who do you go for? Like Brian Flores' defense has been savage so far for the Vikings, but Matt LaFleur and his offense have ticked along nicely and done well without their quarterback. I think it's a bigger game for the Packers than the Vikings because, again, Vikings haven't lost a game so far, and for that reason, I don't know which quarterback is going to play, but I'm going for the Green Bay Packers. Now we have another divisional game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. Now, the Jaguars are coming off the humiliating defeat at the Buffalo Bills last weekend, where I think Doug Peterson is under pressure. Trevor Lawrence is under severe pressure. They've paid him a huge contract. The players aren't gelling. They're not clicking. Um, the Houston Texans then came off a mauling at the Minnesota Vikings, where CJ Stroud looked ordinary for a change. The offensive line was demolished. Our wide receivers were bullied. So both teams are coming off bad defeats, but the Houston Texans have form behind them, where the Jacksonville Jaguars haven't won a game since Trevor Lawrence, I think it was um, back in last November. They've played 8 games since Trevor Lawrence came back from his injury, and they haven't won a game. So it's 0-8. And this, for me, it's in Houston. It's a divisional game, and I think Houston Texans will look to show the rest of that division that they mean business. And I'm going for the Houston Texans this weekend. Now, Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. Steelers are 3-0. They're playing very well. Justin Fields is shown that he deservedly is to be quarterback. He's gone into Anthony Richardson's Indianapolis Colts, where he's the quarterback coming out of injury. They had a good win last weekend against the Chicago Bears. Steelers had a good win last weekend against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to the Pittsburgh Steelers watch party in Crow Park this weekend. I'm looking forward to it just to see what it's like. We don't get them too often, and I don't think the Steelers are going to win. I think the Colts will win. I, I do respect and I do believe that the Steelers defense and TJ Watt and Hayward and Co are savage and brilliant and so on. But Anthony Richardson has Michael Pittman Jr. He is a running back of a plethora of running backs that can do it for him. He has other wide receivers he can hit. And I think the Colts can just nick this one. It's going to be very tight, but I'm going for the Indianapolis Colts this weekend against the Steelers, even though I'm going to be at the Steelers watch party and I'm going to be wearing Bills gear. So we'll see how that goes. So then game number 8 is the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. So you have Bo Nix, who is improving every week under Sean Payton's uh, leadership. And then you have Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets, who people expect big things of this year. Now, Garrett Wilson is performing. The running backs are performing. And Aaron Rodgers isn't doing too bad. The Broncos are an improvement team every week. But I think this weekend is going to be one step too far. Um, they will push the Jets. I don't think it'll be a big win either, for the Jets, but I am going for the New York Jets this weekend. The next game is another head scratcher. It's the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If this game was on last weekend, I'd be picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they were demolished by the Broncos, absolutely battered by the Broncos. The Philadelphia Eagles has one of the best offensive on paper in the NFL. Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts are, connecting and improving every week. And Saquon Barkley was the difference between them winning and losing against the New Orleans Saints last weekend. Where I fear for the Buccaneers is their offensive line. They were battered, but they won at Detroit, where Baker Mayfield was sacked in was 6 or 7 times. He was sacked 8 times last weekend. They can't take that, and the Eagles' defense are ravenous. And for that reason alone, I know that the Buccaneers have awesome wide receivers and good Godwin and Evans, but I'm going for the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the next game is a quarterback that's coming back from injury and is playing awesome against a rookie quarterback that right now for me is the rookie offensive player of the year in Jaden Daniels. It's the Washington Commanders at the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. are improving every week. They went down against the Lions last weekend, but wasn't a lot in it. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders went to Cincinnati and in a shooting match outshot Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Terry McLaurin had an amazing reception for a touchdown, but as that ball was been thrown, Jaden Daniels was getting pavled and he didn't miss a beat. He got the ball off. This is a very hard game to call. Again, at the start of the season, I thought it would be an easy Cardinals win, but for me, last weekend has shown that that the Washington Commanders are a team that are improving. I think this weekend might be a step too far because I think the Cardinals are under pressure if they want to keep up in the race in the NFC West. They can't let the Rams or the 49ers get away from them. And for that reason, I'm going for the home team in the Arizona Cardinals. Then we have the New England Patriots at the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Patriots, in my eyes, at start of the season would have been with the Panthers down near the bottom. They would have been, could pick a game here or there. But in fairness to Jared Mayo, his defense haven't let him down. And his offense is just keeping them in games and ticking. And they lost Seahawks in overtime. Last weekend wasn't a good result for them. But, they're going into a team now that's 1-2 as well in the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody thought we'd be saying that. But the 49ers are without Debo Samuel. They're without Christian McCaffrey. And I don't know about George Kittle. Is he back? And also Brock Purdy, there's questions. He just trained back during the week. Saying that, Kyle Shanahan can't lose this game because, again, no more than the Cardinals, no more than the Seahawks and the Rams. If these teams get a run on you, it's awful hard to catch them. And because they're at home, I'm going to go for the San Francisco 49ers. It would have been a cricket score a few weeks ago, but I think it'll be tight. And it's one of them games that, believe it or not, could go either way. But because the Patriots offense struggled so hard against the Jets last weekend, and the 49ers have a defense that can beat anybody, then that's the reason I go for the 49ers. Now we have the Kansas City Chiefs, another divisional game at the Los Angeles Chargers. If the Chargers mean any kind of business this year, they're gonna have to put it up to the Chiefs and try and beat them. Now I went for the Falcons over the Chiefs last weekend, and the Chiefs won. That was, I'm sorry to say, an awful lot to do with the help of bad umpires. Because, as I said, Kyle Pitts was in the end zone getting a ball, and he was tackled when the ball was yards come away from him on his way to him. But the Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions, and they're 3-0, and you have to respect that. The Chargers are without Joe Walsh, their number one rookie pick this year. Justin Herbert, we don't know. I don't think so. He's going to play. He got uh, abused by the Steelers defense last weekend. Taylor Heineke, can he beat Patrick Mahomes in a shootout? Only time will tell. But for this weekend, I still think it'll be the same old, and I'm going for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we have two teams that are under a lot of pressure this weekend. We have the Cleveland Browns and we have the Los Angeles Chargers, or Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me. It's in Las Vegas. Uh, Antonio Pierce and the Raiders are not performing. They let the Carolina Panthers blow them out at home last weekend. The Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson is not happening. Not happening at all. And Myles Garrett and their defense got injured last week. We don't know if he's 100% or not, amongst other injuries they have. Now, how to call this game? Antonio Pierce needs it. Well, they both need it, but it needs it more because he has a lot of pressure on him. He got this job from a temporary place from last year. The players are buying in. Now, we don't know if Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell is going to be the quarterback. But Gardner Minshew played against the Raiders or against the Browns last year and beat them in the playoffs for the Indianapolis Colts. So I think he'll have a good shot this weekend. And Max Crosby, even though he's has a high ankle sprain, they still think he's going to play. I think he played with it last weekend. I think he'll relish getting that Deshaun Watson because he got sacked an awful lot. He's 16 sacks this year. He's the most in the NFL for a quarterback getting sacked. And I think they'll target him this weekend. And for that, I'm going for the Las Vegas Raiders. Then we come to our own game, the Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. This is a hard one to call. A very, very hard one to call. I know we're 3-0, and I know the Ravens are 1-2, but they had a good win in Dallas last weekend. And they have Rashid Bateman, they have Nelson Aguilar, wide receivers, they have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. That's just four. They have plenty of weapons. Our defense is going to be tested like it hasn't been so far this year. Our offensive line and our offense is going to be tested by a defense that it hasn't been tested so far this year. But I believe in our team. And yes, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and yes, my gut is, always rooting for them and so on. But we played awesome last weekend. Our defense played awesome. Our offense played awesome. So why shouldn't I back us? I'd be wrong till we scored 47 points. You're going into a stadium where the atmosphere will be hostile. It will be very hard. The Ravens will be looking to make themselves 2-2 and take our undefeated record away from us. But we've got Josh Allen. That's, no other team in the NFL has Josh Allen, but we have Josh Allen. And for me, Josh Allen is the best in the NFL. And for that, I'm going for the Buffalo Bills. Now, the next game is there's two Monday night games. As the first of them is the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. I've gone for Will Levis for 2 weeks in a row, and he's let me down. The Titans are 0-3. The Dolphins are 1-2, but they're without Tua Tagovailoa. It doesn't look like their backup quarterback Skylar Thompson is going to play. So it doesn't matter about having Tyreek Hill or Jaden Waddle or Jane or Mozart. If you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball, then you're in bother. I reckon Tyler Huntley might play this weekend, or Tim Boyle if Skylar Thompson cannot play. But McDaniel said yesterday he doesn't know whose quarterback is right now. Saying that, Will Levis is the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Now, I know the Titans turned the Dolphins over at the end of last year, and I wouldn't mind them doing it again. But Will Levis has handed 3 games to teams so far. And even if they were ahead going into the last play and Will Levis was on the field, I'm sorry, I don't trust him. And because of that, I'm going for the Miami Dolphins to beat the Tennessee Titans. And then the last game is the Monday night game. This is Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. This should be a cracker. Geno Smith is going in with Derek Metcalf and co into the Lions den. And I was listening to a piece today where they were saying the Detroit Lions are so stacked. Who is their weakest link? And they're saying now Jared Goff. Now, I know it's awfully to go from hero to zero in this NFL. You can be brilliant once and have an off day or two, and everyone's against you. Jared Goff was at the Rams, and yes, he did bottle a Super Bowl, and yes, he went downhill afterwards. But he could have gone to the Lions, and he could have just ticked along there, got well paid, and retired. He didn't. He helped turn this Lions team around, and Jared Goff got his team to a half time in the NFC Championship. He was there at the Super Bowl. And whatever happened, it wasn't just him, it was the defense as well. In the second half, the Lions didn't come out and play, and the 49ers didn't got to the Super Bowl. So for that reason, you know, I don't see why people are tackling or giving out or, saying bad things about Jared Goff. Let him have a let him have a Deshaun Watson season, or let him have a Bryce Young season. And then if you want to say something, say it. But you know, you don't go accusing the man of things when he's their team is there and they're challenging and they're going to be challenging come the end of the season. On this game, if it was in Seattle, they might have a better chance. They have the 12th man and co. But because of this, I'm going for the Detroit Lions. In the Lions den, um, they're looking to push on. They know there's pressure coming from Minnesota and from Green Bay, and they have to go to push out and keep ahead of them if they want to stay ahead and win that division. So they're my picks, folks, and they're my thoughts on the games this weekend. As I said, I'm going to the Steelers watch party in Crow Park this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. If anyone that watches this is there, say hello. It'd be nice to meet some people and get talking about NFL and get their views and stuff. And as I said, it's a bad Bills fan that's gone up to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers watch party, and you're tipping the Colts to win. But we'll see how it goes. But hopefully it'll be a good evening and good night and a bit of crack, and catch up with a few friends that I met through the podcasts and social media and stuff. So thank you very much for watching, folks. That's my video for tonight. I'll be back again, please God, on Tuesday night with the review of Game Week 4 and any talking points that we may have. Um, until then, as always, stay safe, stay happy, stay together, and go Bills.